morning, Living Hope. Welcome back. Day 13, Slow Your Soul. This is an exciting day. It is the moment we've kind of been journeying towards these last 13 days. Today we're talking all things Sabbath with our esteemed Pastor Jess and my good friend, Carrie Coleman. So Carrie, you have a quote you want to start this discussion off with.
I do, and Pastor Jess, I love this chapter.
Yes.
It might be my favorite so far. It's a hard call, but it might be my favorite. But one of the things that you touched on that I really was intrigued by was the difference between our rhythm and God's designed rhythm when it comes to Sabbath. And one of the quotes that I wanted to read here says, "No doubt, God stopped not to refill his burnt out, drained up, fatigue-ridden soul, but to keep creating differently.
Yes.
Our Father stopped to revel in the wonder of love, celebration, joy, relationship, and the gift of home. God never exhausts because he practices rest, blessing, and wonder."
Yes.
And I'm wondering if you could expand just a bit more on this idea that God's rhythm is so different than ours when we are, and I identified with this when you touched on it, we are so accustomed to this rush, keep going, keep up, and then that day off is a try to catch up, try to land exhausted, and try to somehow manage to be able to keep going for the next week. How is God's rhythm different from what we might be used to?
So when I think about God, I think differently. If God were muscular, he wouldn't take off his shirt. If you don't see that, you're in trouble. Like, he does not step forward and say, "Look at my great strength."
Yeah.
That's not who he is. In fact, I think when we see God someday, we will be overwhelmed by what he does in measurement to whoever he is.
Wow.
So I think we get him wrong.
Yeah.
And he tries to make this clear all through Scripture. It's why he leans into the poor, because he's most like that. And he's trying to tell us, don't underestimate the power of having nothing. Don't estimate the power of starting with nothing. So when I view creation, I view it this way. God stepped out of rest into work.
Wow.
So when he started creating, it didn't God started when we started.
Wow.
He pre-existed. Christ pre-existed. From that rest, from all this contemplation, he steps out of that rest and he begins his work week.
Yeah.
So then he starts his work week and then he creates. Now this is critical. On the seventh day, he finished creation. He didn't finish creation on the sixth day. He finished creation on the seventh day, because the seventh day is the day to bless. We said just a moment ago, we were kind of kidding around. If you get to Sabbath, you wake up in the morning and say, "What should I do today?" You're too late. You're too late. And I feel a little bit bad. In fact, I'm going to make this change in the book. We go through the book and I'm sure people say, "Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this?" You're getting ready to have a Sabbath.
Yes.
Beautiful.
But you've got to load up. You've got to have something that Jesus has given you to give and delight and to give thanks in once your Sabbath day comes. So to me, that's more the rhythm. He started at rest. He goes to rest. Like people say, God is omnipotent. He can never exhaust. Really? Maybe not. But maybe the reason he can never exhaust is he knows how to rest. So those are just thoughts in my mind. None of us know for sure. Like people, we want to have a Marvel movie God. I don't think he's that. Again, if he has muscles, he doesn't take his shirt off. You know what I mean? So we do that.
So what you're saying is his superpower is Sabbath.
Oh.
I think it is. I've always said this.
I see it.
If you've ever heard me before, and I think that's true, but I actually believe his superpower is seed.
Oh, yeah.
By the feebleness of a small seed, he plants something.
Beautiful.
And no hell power waged against that seed can stop it from growing. It will grow and come to complete fruition. That is his superpower.
That's beautiful. So I just think that today we should probably talk through some practice of Sabbath. I know we did not just start out practicing Sabbath like we do now. Like, it's been a journey of actually 6 years to get to where we are officially practicing Sabbath. So Pastor Jess, can we talk just through a few recommendations you have for us as we approach laying out the when, how, what, and where of Sabbath?
Okay, so let me first, I'll look at the camera when I say this. Number one, whatever you do is a win and
That's
not
good.
wrong.
That's
so
good.
you have to start there. I do think this. I think at some level, you need to do some physical readiness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true.
So get things ready for Sabbath.
It's true.
Right.
Guy said yesterday that his Sabbath starts when they've cleaned up the whole house and they get the meal ready. They're
Yeah.
physically getting things
Yeah.
ready.
Right.
The other thing is, and this I feel bad about, we've been doing all these practices for these days, 13 days now. Why were we delving into a prayer of repentance? Why were we delving into honoring God, honoring your parents? Why did we write a letter to our spouse? Because the whole day needs to be filled, and this is the most important thing, the whole day has to be filled with, I'm going to set my mind on delighting in everything. It's the day we don't go back to the middle of the garden, we don't go back to the tree of knowledge of good and evil, we don't go back to judgment and negativity, and when we do, we say this, I'm back, Jesus, what was wrong with me? I where did I go? And so the whole thing that's happening in morning devotions is setting up our words and our thoughts to all day long say things. And then you've got to put a context within which to do those things. In other words, where am I going to say these things? So dinner is obviously, I think, just has to be a must. But then you do plan things, whether it be a walk or a drive, or maybe it is golfing, but you take the whole family and you just have fun with it. Maybe you're going to go somewhere and do something, but the whole thing isn't to be competitive. It's not going to be filled with criticism. The whole thing is figuring out ways to delight. So I think you got to prepare. You've got to have words to say, and then you have to have a bowl, so to speak. In other words, what are you going to do where you can be saying these things with your family?
And we have found just in our Sabbath practices that it works really good to have a flow for our day. So we don't actually get creative with Sabbath. Like we have a walk we take, we have a way we play a game, we have reading time, we have family devotion time, we have Sabbath dinner time. That's our flow, and we don't deviate. So the boys actually can delight in sameness and the beauty of knowing what's going to happen. So I think whatever you do for Sabbath, set that rhythm up so your kids can count on the same thing every time, your spouse can count on the same thing every time. Now, my kids are older, and so we found as the older they get, the easier Sabbath becomes. Carrie, I know you have some littles. Do you have any tips for parents on how to do Sabbath with a baby, with a couple, a toddler, and then 2 grade school kids?
Besides long naps. I get that. I get napping.
I've tried so hard to convince them that this is when they're supposed to take these long rests for some reason. They don't delight in napping always, I've realized. I would say that one of the things that's been really profound for our family, and we're very new in this Sabbath thing. I'm not going to say I'm an expert. We're still learning to find our rhythms. But one thing that I'm seeing is setting that expectation of what's coming throughout the week.
Excellent.
That has been so impactful in my kids' hearts, and my kids are young, so it's the little things. We talk about what we're gonna have for dinner.
Yeah.
And so one of them gets to own what are we gonna have for dinner, and we make sure we have all the ingredients, and just that little bit of expectation. We have some dishes that we only use for Sabbath dinner.
Yes.
Just these simple things that just communicate to our kids, this matters.
Yeah.
And then Saturday, when we have our Sabbath meal Saturday nights, and when we start to get ready, we just start using that word Sabbath again and again. Hey guys, it's almost Sabbath.
Yeah.
It's almost time. We're going to do this because Sabbath is coming. We're going to do this because we're getting ready for Sabbath.
Beautiful.
And I have been amazed to see how that's started to plant in my kids. If Sabbath means we're going to delight in one another.
Yeah.
And I would say it's a moving target. I think knowing it's going to be a moving target for the next many years.
That's excellent, Carrie.
But Pastor Jess, and I see this all over this book, is just that we want to land in the delight of God.
Yeah, yeah.
And that might look a little bit different each week, and that might look a little bit different as the kids get older. But goal, delight in God together.
Beautiful. So beautiful.
Can I add just two things real quickly, the thoughts. Number one, parents should try to be grandparents on Sabbath.
Oh, that's good.
I love
So
that.
in being a grandparent, you kind of laugh at your grandkids when they do stupid things. Try to find a way to laugh at the stuff they do instead. Don't do that. Whole that whole thing. So, and then Tim said something I thought was very good. Tim says that they take soda, a special soda that they're going to drink, and he puts it on the counter.
Yeah.
That's for Sabbath.
Yeah.
That's for. I thought that was a good idea, just to build that. Now the trick is you cannot give it to them before Sabbath.
Yeah.
You gotta
Right.
you gotta wait.
Gotta
Delayed
wait.
gratification.
Yeah.
You have to
Yeah.
wait for it. So.
Yeah, no, I love that. I would totally recommend for all families, get a Sabbath candle, have that be lit at your meal. It makes it cozy. But just making those cues so your kids are like, tonight is different from every other night of the week. That's beautiful. I've also heard, we did not try this, I wish we would have, buy Sabbath toys that you only let your kids play with
Great
on
idea.
Sabbath, and they're like there and they want them all week, and you're like, get to Sabbath, get to Sabbath. And I've also heard too, if you have littles, doing like a switch off, so like giving mom an hour to go
Ooh,
pray,
very
read,
good,
contemplate.
very good.
Beautiful.
Very
and
good.
then that for dad as well, as how it's very helpful. And I think having those moments of just stopping, reading, like letting everybody just be at rest is really key. So again, you're working for Sabbath all week, you're getting your house ready, you're getting your groceries ready, you're getting everything ready because Sabbath is coming. And then on Sabbath you can, like we do, sing the Shabbat Shalom song. Shabbat Shalom, you guys know it, come on now. It's so fun, it's so catchy, and then the whole house is going to be excited because it is Sabbath, baby.